Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and this is Charlie.
Hiya.
And welcome to It's a Charlie Thing. How are you, Charlie?
Yeah. I feel like it's been, in truth, we've had a bit of a stressful morning. This can happen. Both Charlies are feeling a little bit frazzled. We're okay with that. We can move. We're fine.
Yeah, prior to logging on, I was going to be answering this question with, I'm content, I'm happy, the sun is shining, and I'm looking forward to a great precursor to spring. And that was going to be the way that I started things. And to be fair, the little bit of stress that occurred is incredibly minor in the grand scheme of things, and I've already called myself a numpty because of it. But it was just one of those things where, had it been any other day and this had happened, I probably would have slowed down, looked at everything, and considered everything. But because I was thinking, oh Lord, I need to be online, we need to be recording the podcast. This is the only time throughout the entire week that we've got the chance to speak to each other. I immediately went into that mode of just completely forgetting about everything else, all of the other variables, and it took me a minute, but I'm now not the person I was 5 minutes ago when I was thinking that I was going to have to cancel today's podcast and move to a monastery.
Which monastery?
I don't know. I say this a lot.
Like, do you have like a backlog, like a catalogue of monasteries that you'd like to just like
a catalogue of convents, a dictionary of dioceses, I don't know, but for the number of times that I say that I'm just going to throw everything away and become a monk or a nun, it's really one of those things where it's like I should have done a bit more research into this because
what would you do in a monastery? I don't think
this is something that's ever going to happen, because I'm pretty sure that a precursor for becoming one of these things is becoming being religious, and I don't want to make that life choice right now. I've got too much going on, so
bit too busy for you, Charlie.
Yeah, and narrowboats take too much work.
You say that because someone I had been talking to was saying about getting a narrowboat. I would be so bad on a narrowboat, Charlie. Honestly, can you imagine me on a narrowboat? I don't even think I could go on a holiday on a narrowboat. I'd be at risk.
I don't think that I could even cope myself on a narrowboat, and I say this as somebody who spent a very long time looking them up, trying to think about what money I could get, finding out that a lot of people in their early 20s had purchased narrowboats as investments and were then selling them on after 10 years of being on them. And I know that it's a more affordable way of life in the grand scheme of things, but it takes a lot of work. And you know me, I'm very work shy. So this is the situation we find ourselves in. What have we got in store for them today?
It's a bit of a hodgepodge, I'm going to say. This is what we've got today. It's a bit chill. Mostly it's going to be about like what books we've got from the library, big library haul from each of us. And you've got a lot of reading you're going to go through. Me, I've not got a lot of reading, but I've got like a lot of things I want to read. I don't know whether I'm going to read them, but we'll see.
I've got the Drag Race meme in my head now. What you want to do is not what you're necessarily gonna do. I'm pretty sure it was Trinity Tuck and Gia Gunn in All Stars 4.
Okay. I do love that. That was a good episode, actually.
Oh, yeah. Those, like, series 3 and 4 of All Stars are the two that they had, like, some great stuff going on because it was like when All Stars was figuring itself out. But I also despised them because of two of the things that went on during those series. All Stars 3 was one that aired on television here. And so I would watch it with my mother. And even she'll still bring up about something that went on with Ben de la Creme in,
Oh, I love that. That was so great. Ben de la Creme was amazing.
I know, and that's why
that is an iconic
thing they did in that show.
Was an iconic.
My mother hates.
We should tell people what it is. They wrote their name on the lipstick.
I'm not telling people what it is. I don't want to spoil it.
No, you spoil it. I don't care. They wrote their name on the lipstick, which was at that time was shocking. It was unveiled. We were like,
it's still shocking. I'm not over it. It's been about 8 years, and I am not over it.
That's why it's not a spoiler, I think. Anyway, should we get into it? So I'm gonna, before we get into like what we're currently like books we've hauled, currently reading, etc. I've just literally flicked onto my Instagram as we do as humans. We spend too much time blowing our Instagrams. I want to do that less this year, but hey. But luckily for me, I did, because then I spotted Elvin James Metzer, who wrote one of my favourite books, Small Joys, which I bang on about as many times as I can. He's just put a picture up of his latest book. So we've got a book cover reveal for White Spaces. That's coming out the 18th of June this year. I am so unbelievably excited. I literally, as soon as I finish this podcast with you, Charlie, I'm pre-ordering that. Like, I cannot. And I'm probably going to try and see if it's on NetGalley. I need to read it.
I did that with NetGalley last week. I saw that Jess Kidd's next Nora Breen mystery was on there, requested that. I got that. And I still don't own a copy of the first one, but I really enjoyed that first book. So I'm very much looking forward to this. But
you know, when you get like a favourite author, I think that and it's such an exciting feeling when you, because like I knew that book was, I've been telling you, I even said it on the podcast as one of our anticipated reads this year kind of thing. That feeling when you see a cover reveal for it.
I still haven't read that one because I'm so worried, knowing how much you like it, that if I don't like it, what it'll be, like we have the joint Charlie books and one day we will collate that list correctly and say which books we both really enjoy, and we usually say that's a good benchmark for books that a lot of different types of readers will like. But I'm so worried that I won't get out with Small Joys that I just won't go near it because I wouldn't like to say anything disparaging about your favourite book.
It would break my actual heart.
Despite the fact that I regularly tell you not to read Emotionally Weird.
Yeah, and I do still want to read that. But I don't think that would be a me book though, because I'm not great with stories within stories.
I know it's not a you book.
But I always think like I can't think that anyone cannot like Small Joys. Like I just can't think, my head can't go there. I'm like, for me as a Charlie, it's like the perfect book. Friendship, it's like these deeper themes of father-son relationships, stuff going on. Just honestly, I could bang on about it. I can't see anything bad about it. I cannot, and I will not see anything bad about it. I'm just like,
no, I'm not saying that you would see anything. I'm not saying that you would see anything bad in the book, but that's also one of the reasons that I don't want to read it, because I think that, especially when they're books that a friend has hyped up, that's the right word, because they've enjoyed it.
It's definitely hyped up. Because
you go into that book, then you're like, right, I need to know what it is that they liked about this book. So then,
yeah, I agree.
Like maybe it is just a me thing here, but I'm a bit more
critical.
Yeah, I'm a bit more critical of it. I examine it a bit more, trying to be like, well, what was it Charlie liked about this? Is it this? And then being like, I don't think that I give it the grace that I'd give other books. I don't think that I go into it like, oh, I'm just going to read this. I'm like, I need to know why Charlie enjoyed this, and I need to enjoy it too.
It does put pressure on it, though. I do agree with you.
I sometimes think in terms of the Emotionally Weird thing and saying to you, I don't think it's a you book. Part of me wonders, is that just me being protective of it as well? Like, I don't want Charlie to go into this book doing what I do with books that she recommends to me. So I'm just going to tell her to steer clear. Stay away from my book.
And also, I feel like this does launch in quite comfortably into our currently reading, because there's something that's happened this week. So Charlie has been talking. I'll let you lead this, Charlie.
Okay, so in our last episode that featured a book update, I had gone to the library and I had borrowed the book Murder by the Minster by Helen Cox. And I was reading 1Q84 at the time. We know I found that book a bit slow going. I finished the first volume now, and towards the end of that first volume, things were picking up a bit in terms of pace, in terms of storyline. So I think that I might go back to volume 2 and what have you in future. But I was in the mood for some crime fiction. We get like that sometimes. There are certain things that are appealing to us, like everything I'm watching on the telly at the moment is a cozy crime. If it's not a Hallmark mystery, then I'm watching Jonathan Creek. I'm going back to all of the ones that I liked when I was younger. I decided I was going to try the Ellie Griffiths books again. And then I saw Murder by the Minster, and it was set in York. We'd been to York, and I liked the idea of Kit Hartley, the librarian, being the sleuth of this mystery. And her best friend has just been accused of murder. In that episode, I said it was Kit, but having now read it, I know that it was her friend Evie who got accused of this murder. I finished 1Q84 on the Friday morning, picked up Murder by the Minster, and finished that day as well. Then on the Saturday, the day after when I was in work, I went into the library in the town where I work, and I saw that they had the next 3 books in the series. So I got them, which were A Body in the Bookshop, Murder on the Moorland, and the one that I'm currently reading, Death Awaits in Durham, which means that I read over 900 pages in 1 week, having read 3 books, reading one on Sunday, one on Tuesday, and then reading the other one in every spare moment that I had. I'll talk about them, and then we could talk about what happened. Each book has followed a different principal character that we met in the first book, Murder by the Minster. And I have to say, part of me finds that a bit odd. Part of me understands it because I'm like, well, yeah, as a writer, you want to be exploring all these different characters, and it does allow a different topic to almost take the forefront. So in book 2, it's something a little bit similar to the first book in terms of storyline, but that's more like the romantic subplots and what is spurring the sleuth on to figure out who committed this crime that led to a murder. It's still in York, so I was enjoying that as well. But in that one, the plot is about somebody having an awakening of their sexuality somewhat late in life and what that means for them, whilst also solving this murder. And in the third one, we're dealing with a detective who is dealing with the murder of their wife 5 years prior to the events of the book. And there may be a copycat killer. So he's returning to this village. And the one constant in all of these is that Kit is a friend of theirs and is part of the mystery with them. But throughout, I am a bit like, I do wish we were finding out more about her life, because I really liked her in book 1. She's this librarian who's not afraid to say what she thinks, who has this cat, drinks Lady Grey tea, has a door that she really ought to get fixed. And these things keep coming up. And instead we are going into these other people's lives. And so I've been reading through them quickly as well, because they are page turners. They're not really great thinkers. And that's not me being disparaging towards the book. Sometimes you want a book like that. You want a book that is fast to get through, that, again, doesn't take much thinking. And like the first book, the murderer, their first appearance on page, I was like, you did it. I waited 300 pages to be told what I'd already guessed. And like subsequently, I was recognizing this in the books. They're fast-paced. They're very dialogue heavy, which makes it a lot quicker to get through. So I recommended them to Charlie.
And so this is where I'll pick up the tail.
This is where Charlie will come in.
So Charlie was obviously telling me about the premise. I think actually even when you mentioned the premise before you'd even read it, I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. Because it is a great premise. And like everything you said is true. But I started reading it. So Charlie recommended it. I went down to the library. I was in the mood for something light, nothing really heavy, because I just finished ages ago. And actually, I think I was talking to you and you were like, you checked with the library has it.
I did, yeah.
Charlie is that friend. He's amazing.
I'm like Tina Fey in Mean Girls. I'm a pusher, Charlie. I'm a pusher.
I don't even just think that you, like even this morning, like you're good at Googling. So if there's any concerns I have, Charlie is like the best kind of friend, because if like you are a pusher with books, but I'm a pusher of books too. This is what we do. This is how we got to know each other through book 2. But also, Charlie will Google and help a person as soon as there's a question. You'll be there like with answers within minutes. If there's any trouble you have, Charlie is the one going online sorting it out for you. Like, this is the kind of friend he is. He's so lovely. I want to say this to everyone because people don't know this about you necessarily.
Although it can end up, like going into bad territory, because I'm also like the person, if you've ever been wronged by another person, I'm going online and I'm finding out everything I can find out about that person just in case.
Yeah, that's true. He literally, within seconds, you found that my library had copies of various books in the series. It was only the second one that my immediate library I couldn't get hold of one. Anyway, so I go down to the library, pick it up, start reading it, and immediately I was really enjoying it because the character, like you said, of Kit is really, really...
and we went enthusing about cabbage as well.
Yeah, so she comments on, because obviously I volunteer in the library, and so I have certain like insight into that element, and I feel like it was quite truly written in the bits I read, the very early bits. That's all I can speak for. There was a customer and she was commenting on the customer. You do notice library customers. I think like I'm a people watcher. I noticed that anyway. And I loved her commentary on that. It just made me laugh. The moment it flipped was when the detectives came in. Kit I loved. I could have had so much more about Kit, but as soon as the detectives came in, I feel like the whole thing, I don't know why, it just lost a sense of reality to me. And the detectives are useless. I think you would fairly verify that to me. To me, they just come across as very bumbly, and the things that the way they come in and they're talking to Kit, I'm like, this doesn't seem right. There's something that's very off about it. I'm like, obviously, some things we have in books, you have it because obviously you're a writer. Yeah. There's things that take you out of the book, enjoying it. And as soon as these detectives came in and they were talking to Kit, they were interviewing Kit. It was something about how they were interviewing her. I was just like, I don't like these people. This doesn't seem like real. Something about it. I'm like, no, I don't like it. And I was just like, then I started to feel like I was drudging through water trying to read it, and then I was like dreading picking it up because of these detectives. So no, I was like, and then I said to Charlie, and Charlie was obviously, listen, Charlie, this isn't obviously for you. Just put it down. We always tell this to each other. Maybe I'll go back to it.
One of the reasons I was asking you to like it sounds awful, but I was saying to take a step back, you're not enjoying it, is also because I have been enjoying going through them and like speeding through, and they've been very. I'm just again currently not in the mood for anything that's going to be great thinking, and I just want to be able to speed through books. So that's what I'm doing without really thinking about them. Yeah. However, one thing I will say about this book, and yes, it is a criticism, but that is who I am as a person. Yeah. I am aware that a lot of books ask you to suspend your disbelief. It's like the whole thing with much, a lot of fiction out there. But the ending of Murder by the Minster, when something happens, and it's the big climactic scene, I was like, these characters recover from that quite quickly. Although in A Body in the Bookshop, Helen Cox does talk about that road to recovery with one of those characters, which it was refreshing in a crime series to actually get to see the consequences of what's happened. Quite often in crime fiction, especially this, because it's almost a blend between a thriller and a cozy crime novel. There's nothing too gratuitous, but it does have a bit more depth, I suppose I should say. I did like getting to see how this character's behaviour had changed due to what had happened to them, but there are some moments which have me rolling my eyes for how ludicrous they are. Like we have somebody who has a very big injury to their leg in one of the books, and they're driving moments later.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like, as somebody who, has arthritis in their legs, I know how difficult it is to drive with a long-term condition when it's flaring up. You've just had this really major injury to your leg. I think you might be calling a taxi. There is this suspension of disbelief there.
Yeah, I think maybe then recommending that you just got to go in knowing that it's not like a realistic crime. Like it's very,
It very is light relief.
Which is fine.
Anyway, that brings me to my currently reading.
Yeah, go for it.
Which is Death Awaits in Durham by Helen Cox.
Is this the fifth?
This is the fourth book.
The fourth.
I have actually slowed down with my reading of them, but that is simply because of work and other things that I've been trying to get done.
We've been doing a lot of editing because we've had to.
Yeah, there's been some editing there. I was putting videos on my own channel and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and also, I was a bit like, do I want to read another Helen Cox or do I want to read something else? So I did also pick up Genocide, which is a Doctor Who book by Leonard. So far in this one, the Doctor has just landed in the 21st century to find out that humanity's never existed. But then there's also going to be a plot line set. Well, anyway, Jo Grant, who was a companion of the third Doctor, is apparently going to appear at some point. Having mentioned this earlier, I have also picked up the second volume of 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. So I'm 60 pages into that.
That is quite a chunky way in. Is it good, bad, or how are you feeling?
In the second volume, as I said, at the end of the first volume, things had picked up a bit and that pace has continued. I think it's still a bit slow, but, I'm not reading it as fast as a Helen Cox or a Doctor Who book. I'm probably doing about a page a minute. And I think it is definitely one where if I allow myself to dip in and out of it over a length of time, I will appreciate it more than trying to finish it in one go. I think I've talked long enough about my currently reading. So what are you currently reading, Charlie?
Well, I'm currently reading. So obviously, I'll go to...
I made you DNF.
Oh, yeah. I did read a chunk of the first book, what was it called?
Murder by the Minster.
Murder by the Minster. I did read a chunk of it and then DNF'd it. So if we're talking about DNFs, that's one. A second DNF, even though I'm not going to call this a DNF, but obviously the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction was announced. I'll get into this in a minute, but I've paused my audiobook listen of The Finest Hotel in Kabul because I was listening to it and I feel like I need the physical copy.
Yeah.
For whatever reason or another, I wasn't engaging with the audiobook. I'm not blaming the book because I do think it's a really interesting concept and I still am interested to read it. But one, I've finished reading Agent Zoe. We spoke about this on our last week's episode. So yeah, definitely check that out. It's just a brilliant, brilliant book.
And I can also recommend the audiobook of that one.
100%. I listened to it and I've had the physical copy of it. And then because I was obviously after the crimey book that I DNF'd, I was like, do you know what? I've been thinking about going for something a little bit more sinister, a little bit darker. So I picked up Strange Pictures from my bookshelf. I haven't finished it, but I'm nearly halfway through. This is a weird-ass book. It kind of reads a bit like a short story collection because it's broken down into sections like that. For those of you that don't know the premise, so it's a story within a story. So we've got my main character goes online somehow or another and discovers this blog post about this guy that has posted pictures and is talking about his wife. So our main character discovers the blog as it's already finished. So he decides it's the person who's written the blog has finished it very abruptly, and he's like very confused. Why has this blog suddenly ended so abruptly? So he's like, do you know what? I'm going to go back through and discover. He decides to go back to the beginning of the blog to go through it. But then you're reading the blog, so it's like fiction within fiction kind of thing. Does that make any sense? Is this making any sense?
It's making sense to me.
And
I'm just withholding my thoughts until you finish telling us all about it.
And so what it is with the Strange Pictures, so this guy he's uploaded these pictures. This book has got drawings that his wife has drawn in a certain order, and these images have all been numbered. I'm not going to try and spoil it, but this is just the very first chapter, so to kind of give you a feel for I'm guessing, because I haven't obviously read the whole thing. You discover about the blog, and then it's the person who's the main character who's reading it and then also talking to someone else about it is interpreting those pictures. It's really weird. And then the second book goes into another story with images, and then again you're interpreting those images. And those example of this is they kind of reference in this. Is it like Escher? When you have the
Yes.
blobs you have in a piece of paper, you put your you fold the piece of paper into, and then some people see so then you have a butterfly, but some people for example, what was it? The hair that can look like a duck or whatever like that. Those kinds of things. So it's how we interpret those images, and this is kind of what this is. And it's with the dark and with some dark undertones in it and some sinister undertones in it. It's weird, but I'm enjoying it. So it's really, really weird. I'm reading it and being like, what am I reading?
As I was hearing you talk about that book, all I could think is, if we were looking at what books are me Charlie books and which books are you Charlie books, is definitely one that I would have picked up, read the blurb and thought, that's a me Charlie book. I wouldn't expect you to read that.
But I do like weird dark books as well sometimes. There are some weird dark books that I enjoy.
I'm very interested to find out whether it's a weird dark book that does work for you.
You'll have to read it and then maybe tell me.
I really need to know what you think first, and then I will make that decision as to whether I go out and get them. I do like a fiction within a fiction.
You do. This is,
as soon as you said that, I immediately emotionally weird, because that is what that book does. Like the whole thing of that book is that it's a fiction within a fiction.
Yeah, the meta elements to it. Those elements do make my head hurt, and I don't like that. But it's because I read for this. It's this kind of book I would want to read for fun. But I am enjoying it.
Yeah,
it's not written in a head hurty way.
Oh, I understand that too. But I think that sometimes as well, it's sometimes thinking about fiction within fiction is a tough one, because you're like, we go into a fictional world, and well, at least I do, and I immediately forget the whole fictional aspect and I treat it like, oh, this is real life that's happening. So the reminder that it's fiction, I'm having to think about the fact none of it's real. Nothing within these pages is real, and now I've got to remember that this thing that's not real is also not real. It's
which then the head hurty element comes in.
Unreality.
Which is then when the head hurty element comes in.
Yeah.
But no,
I really enjoy it.
Yeah, you like that challenge. I can't quite I'm enjoying it, but I literally, because I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. So yeah,
Well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I'm on 75 pages already.
That is a good sign.
For me, I'm a very slow reader.
Not because of that, but because this year you've said about wanting to read fewer books and read less and dedicate your time to the other things you enjoy as well. So a book to have got you that gripped that quickly to read that much is a good sign. So now we're going to go into the haul portion of the video. For me, all of these books are from the library because I still haven't put my room back to how it was. My books are still in my mother's room. The person who was supposed to come back and paint the newly plastered walls hasn't been. I don't know whether I need to do that myself. it's all up in the air right now. So I'm borrowing books from the library. The first one I got from the library might be the one that I have most been looking forward to from this series, and it's the next book from Helen Cox. When I finished Death Awaits in Durham, it is A Witch Hunt in Whitby.
You love a book set in Whitby.
Yeah, well, I really like Whitby. So this is the one where I might end up being a bit more critical than anything else, because like whenever I read books from Whitby, I do that thing I think a lot of people do, and it's where you're going, well, they couldn't have done that because you can't get around that spot, or that doesn't exist, that doesn't happen there. So I'm hopeful that some of my favourite spots in the little seaside town that I regularly visit are mentioned, but the tagline for this is ancient superstitions, occult rituals, and a bloodthirsty serial killer. Something deadly is haunting Whitby.
It does sound really good.
Yeah,
like all of these Helen Cox books, the premises sound amazing.
Yeah, for you, you enjoy the premise, but the execution doesn't quite match your.
No. I'm not saying no. No. Also, now you've explained, Charlie. Obviously, you explained to me about the things I didn't like, why that might be. So I will probably go back to it. It's just I've got this thing. I've got low tolerance. We tell each other just put down if you're not in the mood for it. So yeah. I still think I'm sure she's a good writer.
DNF.
I love that you said that.
Anyway, Charlie, what's your first book you've hauled?
I was obviously, after chatting to Clare, both of us were like, oh my gosh, I want to read everything that Clare has.
This is
I want to go back to it. Yeah. So I searched my library app, got overexcited. I had limited time because I was picking up Belle that day. Got into the library and I found the first book, I'm going to say, which is The Spy Who Loved. And then the next book I saw without reading it, all I saw was, you know, when you're looking on, because I know that Claire has got, obviously, is it like 4 books that she's got out? I'm fairly certain. I don't want to be wrong. But basically, the library, what I thought was I spotted 4 books with 4 different covers, and I didn't obviously read it properly. You'll see in a minute. So I got The Spy Who Loved in the paperback. The paperback version is gorgeous. I love this paperback, and so I'm desperate to read it, and I will read it because, again, so when what I thought was the next book, I thought was it the children?
So you had The Woman Who Saved the Children, The Women Who Flew for Hitler.
Yeah, I think The Woman Who Flew for Hitler was the next one I thought, because I saw it was like in a different section. So the next book was on the thing, and I saw the different sections. So I was like, okay, it was in like, because this was in history.
Yeah.
And so then there was another one in war and weapons. I was like, I don't know why. This is how our brains work when sometimes you're in a bit of a rush and you don't read things properly. Anyway, I went to that section. All I saw was there was a Clare Mulley, and I peeled it off the shelf, went downstairs, came home, and I was like. Those of you, I'm holding it up, it's the same book. It's The Spy Who Loved. So I'd actually pulled up The Spy Who Loved twice, but it's in a different cover. This one obviously has the picture of Christine Granville herself, which is what The Spy Who Loved was about. And it's actually follows on very nicely from Agent O because it's set in, these books are connected because it's a woman who is in Poland. Well, I say that because she's also British, but she's connected to Agent O. So the tale goes between England and Poland. That's right, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Well, I think it must do, because when Claire was talking to us about Agent Zoe, she talked about how Christine had also been at the convent where Zoe went and hid as well. Yeah,
exactly. The hardcover has got this beautiful image of Christine on the cover. So, which
so you get
gorgeous.
To choose your formats again. You know? Yeah. Usually you're over here with your paperback and your audiobook, and this time you're like, nah, I'm going to go hardback or paperback.
And I know that my library app has The Woman Who Saved the Children on the Borrow Box app, but so I don't want to request that until I've read this, because obviously you only have the library gets charged. Anyway, I'm excited to read those. So do you want to say 2 more books and then
I'll do 2 now. So the next one that I have is A Body by the Lighthouse by Helen Cox.
The 6th book.
And this is the 6th book. And the blurb for this one is: smugglers, high seas, and a dream cruise turn deadly. Can Kit catch the killer on board before it's too late? What I will say is that at this point in the series, and I don't think that it's too much of a spoiler because the same things happens in a lot of crime series now, and I might find it a little bit irksome, is that at this point she's now a private investigator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then the next book that I got is Murder in a Mill Town by Helen Cox.
You are going for it with Helen Cox books.
And this one doesn't have a blurb like that. This is just calling itself the Kit Hartley Yorkshire Mysteries and sees them in a violent murder in a village near Hebden Bridge. And I don't know who the protagonist is in this one, but it's still part of the series.
That sounds amazing. No, anyway, so I still think it's exciting. I love that you're quite comfortable just diving into a series and kind of like. Because I feel like I'm a bit of a commitment phobe like that with books.
For me, it's firstly these books only started coming out in around about 2019. And so for there to be 9 books already, I'm both astounded and envious. Perhaps I should write faster. Let's not have that conversation today. When I was younger, and I've talked about this a lot now, when I found an author that I liked, I would just go read all of their books and then get back to reading other things afterwards. And as an adult, I haven't done that. And I found that sometimes I'll start a series and then I'll put it aside and never get back to it. And so nowadays, if I'm really enjoying it, then I continue to ride that wave of enjoyment until, it peters out. Has it happened with Death Awaits in Durham? I don't know. It depends on, when I find the time to read. But
I think it's a wise way of doing things. I think it's a wise way of doing things, Charlie, to be able to do that because there's obviously the N.K. Jemisin book. I read the first in the 5th season series, and you told me to read the next one straight away. And did I? No, I didn't. So now when I go back to it, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more hard work.
Yeah, I think as well. This comes from a way that a lot of the people that I work with read too, where they find an author. If they like a book, then they just start finding all of the books by that author. So, like, one of our volunteers picked up Elizabeth Jane Howard, read all of the Cazalet Chronicles one after the other.
Such a lovely way of doing it, though.
They all got into Lucinda Riley around the same time, and so we're swapping books like that, getting through them. Another one did Anthony Quinn, and we're now going through an Al J. Ross phase. So I think it's just one of those things that I've seen so many other people doing as well. So I think, well, why not attempt it myself? So, yeah.
Why not, indeed?
Even if I am thrusting Helen Cox upon so many people at the moment.
Let me show you my next book.
Yeah, so sorry, Charlie, what is your next book?
So my next book is off the Women's Prize for non-fiction. Surprise, surprise. I've got To Exist As I Am by Grace Spence Green. This was on my predictions. I was very happy to see it listed. I'm very excited to read it. Lots of people are praising it. This is a book that is non-fiction. It's told from a doctor's. I think she was in year 3 of medical training when she had an accident that meant that she couldn't walk, and since then she was the patient. So it's her experiences of going from being a doctor to being a patient, and then now obviously she's a doctor again. I'm super excited to read it, and I've got my Mr. B's bookmarked through my intention. I feel like as soon as I put a bookmark in a book, that's my intention to read it. No,
that's not how it works for me.
Because then that means that you're ready to go, isn't it? It's like putting the key into your car engine.
No, not for me. Sometimes if a book's going really well, a good sign for me is it doesn't have a bookmark, because because I will rush through it and finish that thing immediately. As soon as I put a bookmark in, that's slowing me down. I'm like, well, now I can mark my place. Murder by the Minster. Well, the first 3 Helen Cox books were read without a bookmark. No need for a bookmark.
I can't do that though. Apart from anything else, obviously I'm a woman of a certain age. I'd need a loo break. I can't
Oh well, no, I'd put the book aside.
But how do you put it aside without a bookmark?
You just remember what page you were on.
No,
you're going back to it.
That's dangerous for me. I'm not doing that. That's a bit of a risk. That's a whole risky business. That is.
Okay.
It is.
All
there's no guarantee. But then if you have forgotten which page number, maybe that's a sign you need to go back and read a bit more over again. So is that an issue?
Occasionally I do lose my phone because I will sometimes use this as a bookmark if it's handy.
And just put it in the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, if, as you're listening, let us know could you remember where you were? If you could you cope without a bookmark? I am not that clever. I could not cope without a bookmark. What's your next book?
So the next book that I've got is A Body in the Borderlands by Helen Cox.
Have you picked them all up, Charlie?
As I said, I thought I'd got a lift home, and I saw that they had the final books in the series all in hardcover because the font in the paperback I found a bit too small for my eyes. And so I was like, oh, I'll just pick them up, thinking, I only have to go outside the library. And I didn't. And these are heavy paperbacks.
They're big chonkies.
In this one, I have absolutely no idea what's happening, but the first line says that there's an investment banker. And it seems like there's been a bit of a delay between the publication of these books because this is the 8th book in the series and came out in 2023. And I know that the latest one only came out last year, so maybe they have slowed down a bit, which might mean good things for my reading because if I read...
Is there 10 books so far?
9 so far.
Oh, I see. That's a bit of an odd number.
But yes, what is your final book then, Charlie? What did you pick
up? I'm very, very excited for. So Charlie's laughing because I'm holding up a crochet book. But this is not just any old crochet book, and obviously because it's as the title, Not Your Grandma's Crochet. There's anything wrong with your grandma's crochet by Beth Povey. This is a book that I've been watching Crochet Tube. A few people have been talking about this book, and I saw the cover and I was like, oh, this looks amazing because the colours. So it's a bright, like lime greeny kind of cover, and it's got a beautiful, like granny squared vest. Is very intriguing to me, and plus hearing the other people from Crochet YouTube, whatever you want to call it, talking about it, and so anyway, I was very excited and I requested. I was going to buy it, and I just chanced looking on the library app. It happened that it had it, and it's got some really cool patterns in it. Those of you that are watching, it's called a ragalang short sleeve jumper. So it's basically a stripy short sleeved top. And then there's bookmarks, like daisy bookmarks that you can crochet, which look quite easy. And I was like, I need to make this one for every single friend. And there's all so many cool things. And the designs are really cool. The colour selection in these patterns are really, really enticing. And so yeah, I'm super, super excited. So what's your last book? I'm taking it's going to be the last book in the series. Another Helen
then we
Cox.
have A Body at the Christmas Book Fair by Helen Cox. And I think that this is going to be exactly what it says on the tin. There is a Christmas book fair and one of the volunteers drops dead, which I shouldn't say is quite funny to me, but might be part of the plot of the next cozy crime novel of my own. So that's funny.
So should we go on to our happy moments, Charlie?
I think that's a good idea. Yes. Shall I start? Okay. My happy moment of the week, despite the fact we only received one audience member, is starting up events again. So I was at Hume Library with Margaret Holbrook last Wednesday, and we were talking about our crime novels. And I think because we've done it a few times now, it just felt somewhat comfortable. I, made some big pronouncements. I talked about the fact that I wasn't writing at the moment, that I'd abandoned the charity shop novel, which was a shock to Margaret because I'd only recently told her that I was thinking I'd have it done by February. We had the librarians there. We had a few people. Margaret had brought 2 people along. I brought my mother along, and then we had 3 librarians. So one person had turned up who wasn't part of all of that. And I'm glad that she stuck around for the entirety of the hour that we were there. But yeah, no, that was my happy moment of the week, getting back to do events again. And just, I do find some sort of enjoyment of reading my work and chatting about my work and the way that these things go.
And are you feeling like a lot better? Because now you've obviously, because we were talking prior to recording about, obviously you've done a whole video about it. So those of you that want to, they can watch.
Oh, no, I'm like,
you feel better now you've announced it.
Yeah. No, I made the decision back in November not to continue with the charity shop book in its current trajectory. One main reason being that this main point that I planned to be the twist, I realised wouldn't work in this day and age. If I'd set the book maybe 40 years earlier, then I probably could have kept this twist. But now, when my character had grown up with the internet and they'd grown up around social media, they'd have been able to get answers to their questions relatively easily. And then I modified the twist a bit to explain away why they didn't know this information. And I just thought, it doesn't work. One, it's too dark for this book. It can be the truth, but it doesn't need to be mentioned here. I'd made a decision to connect it to the cozy crime novels. That didn't need to be mentioned here. And as I said in the video, on my channel. I wanted it to be more joyous, and for a book set in a charity shop, as I was told by the Society of Authors Manchester group when I went, there wasn't a lot set in the charity shop. In fact, whilst I think about it, I believe I only set 3 scenes at the charity shop, and a lot of the time when I was talking about it was more a paragraph to say what had gone on. I made that announcement. As you say, it was something of the weight off. And I have had some ideas about how I could fix the book, or when because if I do go back to it, and I say when I go back to this book, because I know that I'm going to write it one day, I plan on rewriting the entire thing from the beginning. I keep thinking about Doris and how when I wrote that book, I had about 40,000 words that I threw away, kept 10,000, and then wrote more so that it all were kept in line with each other and made sense. And so it's not the first time I've done this. It's just that I spent a long time to get to the point where I made the decision that it wasn't working. But if anyone had seen me talking on Patreon for months, I was very much in denial about not finishing this book, and just kept saying, "Oh, I'm keeping at it, and I guess we just have to keep on at these things." Where if I just trusted my gut earlier and been like, "I know this isn't working, start again," then I probably could have saved myself a lot of aggro. But we're here now, and I'm perfectly fine and content. So
this is the year we're going to be gentle on ourselves. You just got to, just try and be kind to yourself about it. It's good that you've made the choice and you've made that decision for yourself. So
that's me, Charlie. What was your happy moment of the week?
Well, obviously last week talking to Clare, that was a massive highlight. That would always be a happy moment. My happy moment was that I have finally watched all the Lord of the Rings movies. This is something that I have never done. But yeah, I read the book. I read the Hobbit book. But then now I've watched all of the movies, and I'm literally happy to report that I enjoyed it. That I enjoyed all of them.
Oh, good.
And now I've now I've watched them. I want to get to listen to all the audiobooks narrated by Andy Serkis. I know that sounds a weird thing now I know the outcome of
there
it.
Are some. Did you watch the extended editions of the films?
Yes, I did watch the extended editions.
Yeah, because that was going to be the point I made, is that I can remember going to uni and friends advising me that was the best way to watch these films.
We watched them is because Richard was at home poorly. So we've had, obviously, like I said, I've been saying on the podcast before, we've had a lot of sickness on our house, and it's been one person after the other, and it's been a lot. So yeah, Richard was off sick, and I think we started watching them. Was it like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? We basically watched each of the movies, and yeah, I just loved it. Like I can see why the hype about it. The characters are all just brilliant. The stories are just such great story. I feel like I'm annoyed with myself for not having got to it.
Yeah.
The funny thing is though, very early doors. So I don't know. Obviously compared to the books exactly what the timelines are, but something happens at the beginning to one of the main characters in the first movies, and I was like, why is this character such a hyped character? I'll talk to you about it afterwards why, but and I was like, why is this character so hyped? Because they're gone really quickly.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, this character is so hyped, why is this character hyped? And so Richard was just laughing at me, obviously knowing he knew what was going to happen after. And then afterwards, once I'd finished the entirety of the movies, etc., whatever, again not spoiling it, I was like, I can see why. Now.
I'm glad that we agree that these are very good sick movie fare.
Yeah, and
I think it's also to do with the length of them as well. So you don't really have to think about
very big time commitment.
Put them on and lie there.
You're never bored, and you're constantly feeling in fear.
Yeah.
I feel like, but then also laughing, and then also, it's just honestly, you by the time you get to the end of the movies, you feel like you've been on that journey with them. You really do feel it. So yeah,
we did say we were going to read those books this year, so
I still am going to. I don't want to. I say read, but I'm going to definitely listen to them.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis. So.
Well, there we go.
So yes, that's me. So yeah, let us know your happy moments in the comments. Let us know how your week's been, what you're reading, if you've been hauling any books from the library, or if you've been hauling books in general.
Have you ever binged a series like I'm doing right now?
Have you ever read a book and just not used a bookmark and remembered where you are? Because that's baffling to me.
Have you ever lost your phone because you put it in a book and then put that book aside and you can't find either of them? Because did that happen to me once when they fell down the side of the settee? Maybe. But hey, I think that's us for today, Charlie.
I think it is.
I am, as always, off to make a brew. So, ta-ra!
Bye!